Welcome to the City of Knoxville Board of Zoning Appeals. I'm Amy Sherrill, Chair of the BZA, and I will be conducting today's meeting. Alongside me are the other members of the BZA. At the tables across the room are city staff members. Today's meeting will be conducted in the order of the agenda. Agendas are available at the table near the entrance. Pursuant to the BZA administrative rules, each matter on the agenda will be considered in the following order: staff comments, proponents, opponents, rebuttals, discussion among board members, motion, second, discussion among board members, and a vote. Members of the public may address the board, and the following rules apply. Each person may speak once for 5 minutes and shall not have more than one time to speak, except that the chair may allow 2 minutes to the applicant for a rebuttal. When more than one person wants to speak on an issue, each side is limited to 3 speakers with 5 minutes each. The board may ask questions of any speaker and may allow more time or more speakers by a vote. Speakers should limit their remarks to the facts of the case and should avoid repeating comments that have been previously presented to the board. All speakers should come to the podium, speak directly into the microphone. Speakers will need to state their name and address for the record. Appeals of decisions by the BZA are made to the Knoxville City Council. A petition for such appeal shall be filed with the Plans Review and Building Inspections Department not more than 15 days from the date of BZA's decision. I'll now ask Jeff to call the roll.
Amy Sherrill.
Here.
Brad Salisbury. Here. Daniel Odell.
Here.
Kimberly Black.
Here.
Luis Urea.
We'll be joining us shortly. All right, very good. Our first order of business here is to approve minutes from several previous meetings. So I will make a motion to approve the July 15th. I can't make that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve July 15th, 2025 meeting minutes. August, we have to do one at a time, or can we just combine all 3?
It's different voters.
You can combine August and September,
Okay.
but not July.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve July 15th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Need a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. And I'll make a motion to approve August 19th, 2025 and September 16th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, very good. Next on the agenda is old business, starting with BZA 250059. Is our applicant with us? Very good. As he makes his way down, can we have staff comments, please?
The applicant is requesting one variance related to a proposed townhouse development in an RM4 zoning district.
We do a postponement, we want to do a postponement, we have to do it before you start copying or just clarification.
I can read this and then we can do it. The applicant is requesting one variance related to a proposed townhouse development in RM4 zoning district. The request is to decrease the minimum required lot width per townhouse dwelling unit from 20 feet to 9.5 feet. The subject property is addressed on North Gallagher View Drive, although the property has no direct frontage along North Gallagher View Drive. Based on the KGIS zoning map and the city board map, the property lots are recorded but not built Robinson Road. Due to this unique configuration and siting, the applicant requests an interpretation of the front property lines so that they can estimate the property's lot width, which would then be the basis for how many townhouse dwelling units the property would be permitted to have. The zoning department's interpretation is the front property line is the line that originates from the closest point on North Gallagher View Drive and extends to the north along the recorded, not built Robinson Road. This interpretation resulted in a lot width of 304.5 feet. The variance request to reduce the lot width per dwelling unit from 20 feet to 9.5 feet would allow for a proposed density of 32 townhouse units, which is also represented in the site plan submitted. This proposed density would require a special use approval from Planning Commission, as the RM4 zoning district only allows 8 townhouse units to be built by right. And that's it.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Code Top 1025, Investment Drive, Knoxville, Tennessee. We are going to request a postponement on this case. I know we've requested multiple postponements and wanted to give an explanation. The neighborhood association and the local councilman has requested that we pursue the development utilizing the 2016 zoning code, plan development rules, and that has become a little confusing, and we're getting interpretations from planning on what exactly the process will look like, and that's taken more time than we expected. If we do go down that path, we will not need this variance, and so in an effort to not waste people's time and respect the neighborhood and council members' requests, we are requesting a postponement. However, if you decide to deny it, we are ready to present.
So the applicant has requested a postponement. Do you have a motion?
Motion to postpone. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Can we clarify, is that to the next meeting?
I think we're limited to, this is our last postponement.
I was gonna say, you're probably coming up against your, okay,
We
so there's
understand.
30 days, okay.
So that'll be postponed to November. Okay, very good. So the next item on the agenda is BZA 250065. Is our applicant with us? Very good.
You're on behalf of the applicant.
Very good. In 1 second, we'll have staff comments and then we'll ask you to state your name.
The applicant is requesting 2 variances related to detached signs for an existing hotel in the CH2 zoning district. The first request is to decrease the minimum setback for a detached sign in a CH2 zoning district from no less than 10 feet from a street right-of-way to 5.7 feet from a street right-of-way. The second request is to decrease the minimum setback for a detached sign in a CH2 zoning district from no less than 10 feet from a street right-of-way to 2.2 feet from a street right-of-way. The rear of the property abuts Interstate I-40 and is within 500 feet of an interstate interchange area. These property characteristics allow for a sign height maximum of 35 feet and allow for a secondary sign to be subject to the same standards as the primary sign. The primary sign for this property is located along Cracker Barrel Lane, and the secondary sign is located at the rear of the property facing the interstate. The existing secondary sign is approximately 66 feet in height. The proposed alterations to the sign head exceed repair, and thus the sign is being reviewed as a new sign and must come into conformance with the current sign ordinance. The proposed secondary sign will meet the height standards. However, the applicant would like to use the existing pylon, which combined with the proposed sign head will be 5.7 feet from a street right-of-way. The primary sign head will also be altered and thus must meet the standards for a new sign. It will be located in the same non-conforming location it's located in currently, which is 2.2 feet from a street right-of-way.
Thank you. State your name and address for the
Yes, ma'am. My name is Randy Ridge. I live at 4332 Duval Street in Chattanooga.
Thank you. And if you will state your request and hardship, please.
Yes, ma'am. So this is a non-conforming sign at 60 feet tall currently. The reason the sign is being removed is that Marriott no longer allows this shape of a sign in their branding portfolio. So the owner of the business is being required to attempt anyway to erect a new sign that falls within their branding portfolio, a rectangular sign. What we're proposing is a sign at a height of 35 feet. So the height will actually be diminished by 25 feet. Existing setback would remain at 5.7 feet.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anyone else here to speak on this item? Okay, very good. We'll open it up to board discussion.
Did I hear correctly that you're using the same pole?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is that true on both locations?
Yes, ma'am. Aside from the interest in reusing the pole structure,
did you all consider relocating? I mean, both of these seem to be that it's all about setback from the property. So are there specific constraints that keep you from being able to get into conformance?
Just expense, primarily. The expense of having to do new excavation. I'm honestly not sure about the conditions immediately around the current location of the sign, whether relocation would be an option. The sign is not visible from I-40, I would point out. It's only visible after you make the exit there at Strawberry Plains, turn right onto Cracker Barrel Lane. Wayfinding is really the primary reason he needs a freestanding sign.
If I'm seeing this correctly, the one that's on the cul-de-sac, it's on the street side of what's showing up as a sewer easement,
Yes.
and that sewer easement prevents you from being able to.
Yes, ma'am. And would just point out that this is a competitive business, a hotel business. There are lots of hotels at this exit. And the owner just wants to make sure that his property is visible again for wayfinding. That's a good picture, I think, as you can see at 60 feet. You can barely see the sign now after we drop it 25 feet. And I say that only because we're not asking to erect a sign that's more obtrusive than what's currently there.
Is there a, it looks like there's a stormwater, there's a drainage easement. Is there stormwater in the point of this property, or what's in that corner?
I'm sorry.
The pointy corner of the property, there's a drainage easement there that's labeled on the survey. Is that a stormwater retention basin, or?
Only an easement from what I could tell from the naked eye by driving out there earlier this afternoon.
So there's nothing, okay.
But it is an active drainage. It is an active drainage easement?
Yes.
Okay. So the existing
Now,
sign sits between the 10-foot utility and drainage easement by right and the other drainage easement?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
All right.
There is a detention basin in that kind of forested corner.
Okay.
That would prevent the location of a sign in that easement.
It would certainly restrict it.
And we're typically reluctant to install a sign in any sort of easement, even though you can occasionally be granted permission. It's just not a good practice.
I make a motion that we approve BZA 25065, number 1, to decrease the minimum setback from 10 feet to 5.7 feet, and number 2, from 10 feet to 2.2 feet, based on the lot shape due to all the restrictions and easements that are around with utilities and highways and everything else.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? The motion is passed.
Thank you very much.
All right, we are on to new business, BZA 250068. Is our applicant with us? Very good. Did you make your way up? We'll have staff comments.
Yeah, this one's a little long, so I apologize. The applicant is requesting 6 variances related to a proposed conversion of an accessory structure into an accessory dwelling unit and a new rear carport in an R2 zoning district. First request is to decrease the minimum required interior side setback for an accessory structure, which is the ADU, in an R2 zoning district from 5 feet to 0.5 feet. The second request is to decrease the minimum required interior side setback for an accessory structure, carport, in an R2 zoning district from 5 feet to 0 feet. The third request is to decrease the minimum required rear setback for an accessory structure, carport, in an R2 zoning district from 5 feet to 0 feet. The fourth request is to increase the maximum allowed building coverage in an R2 zoning district from 30% to 41%. The fifth request is to increase the maximum allowed impervious surface coverage in an R2 zoning district from 40% to 50.5%. The sixth request is to decrease the minimum required off-street parking required for an accessory dwelling unit from 1 to 0. The subject property is currently developed as a single-family dwelling with a detached one-car garage. The existing garage has an existing non-conforming interior side setback. However, the change of use to an ADU would require a variance to this interior side setback. The conversion of the existing garage will remove the existing off-street parking space for the single-family dwelling. The proposed ADU requires one additional off-street parking space, which may not be able to be accommodated into the proposed carport due to sightlines exiting the carport into the alley. Due to this, the applicant has requested a variance to reduce the number of off-street parking spaces from 1 to 0 to retain at least the one off-street parking space for the single-family dwelling. The carport will abut the roof line of the proposed ADU and span the width of the lot to the rear, increasing the building coverage and impervious coverage of the lot. The applicant should address why the variances are necessary based on their hardship, and if any other designs were reviewed that would not require variances or would reduce the number of variances requested. Engineering is also available to discuss or answer any questions related to the site distance analysis provided by the applicant.
Thank you. If you'll state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Gary Steinberg. It's 221 East Oklahoma Ave.
Thank you. And if you will state your case and hardship for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I live at the house. My spouse lives there as well as my 10-year-old Luca. And this is really about my spouse's parents. They're both 75 years old. Her mother in particular has had Parkinson's now for the better part of the decade. Her condition is worsening. They would like to live very close to us, as you can see. And given her condition and the likely use of a wheelchair in the very, very near future, we would need her to be able to use a wheelchair from the ADU to the house, so we can take care of her as well as him in their twilight years. I also mentioned that the rear building that would serve as the ADU was built at the same time as the house in 1908 and placed there. Obviously, it's kind of grandfathered in. We cannot move it, we cannot deconstruct it. It's historic zone, so we have taken pains to not change really anything about the building from the exterior.
These historic neighborhoods, especially with existing non-conforming, is challenging. One of the questions I had, the building coverage, is it existing non-conforming that's in here, or is there more also being added? To state that clearly.
Is the building coverage only for the covered walkway?
I'm assuming that's what's happening here. Sorry, there've been a lot of hands on this, contractor, surveyor. That number seems a little high to me. I can only assume that what they mean is with the addition of the covered parking, which we would like, given that we would like for them to stay dry as they go to their house and ours. That is what is being calculated as additional building coverage.
Okay, that's confirmed. I'm just, again, a lot of homes in these neighborhoods already are non-conforming. I'm trying to understand how much it's increased.
Yeah, absolutely.
In reality. Okay. And then that would be arguably similar for the impervious situation. Okay. Have you spoken with your neighbors?
Yes.
Everyone seems to be relatively supportive.
Yeah. We're good friends with all the neighbors. They're supportive.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor or opposition of this before we continue discussion? Okay. Any thoughts from anyone else here?
So you mentioned sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you mentioned a concrete path from the ADU and the carport to the existing dwelling, and I don't see any site plan at all that shows what that path looks like. Am I just missing it?
There should be. They're right there.
There's some.
So I guess it leads to a path of concrete pavers. You see that right there. So by that future shed, when you go around it, and there you go.
Okay.
Those are existing.
Those are existing.
Most of this looks to be, there's quite a few of these are about the building that already exists, and then you have the carport, and it looks like it's going up to the 0 lot line. I don't know how you would cover half of it, or kind of odd.
I feel like I'm missing something, but why do we have a parking variance?
Because the accessory dwelling units require them, and I think, are they not count, the spaces at the back don't count?
So the existing structure, the existing single family, there's just a 1-car garage. And so it's non-conforming that typically would have to have 2. And then the addition of an accessory dwelling unit would then require 1 additional space. And so they're proposing to, however, there was some site distance analysis that was provided. I don't know if it made the packet or not. I've got it on my computer. I'm going to see if I can get it on the screen. But if they aren't able to use the, it'd be the one on the screen left. They weren't able to use that to be able to back out due to there's a wall or a fence, and then plus the structure that abuts the alley or comes pretty close to the alley. So they weren't actually able to get adequate site distance in that first spot. They would need the parking request to go down to 1, which would be not having 1 for the ADU, and then using just the space on screen right to be able to see to back out into the alley.
I think so. Yeah.
I can certainly understand the desire to have it covered, particularly when we're talking about elderly parents with extra challenges. Having any additional slip there.
Thank you. Yeah, they requested it. Not only in the rain, but when it gets wet, it gets more slippery and so on.
I'll make a motion to approve BZA 250068 as it's written, and on the basis of it being a historically historic lot, smaller lot. This, the vast majority of this is pre-existing and non-conforming as it sits, and I think the rest of it is working in conjunction to serve that purpose. So I'll move to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second? I'll second. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'm an aye.
All right, so 4-0, and then we'll add you to the roll. All right, thank you. All right, we add our fifth one to the roll.
Apologies for the tardiness.
Glad you're here. Awesome. All right. Next up is BZA 250069. Is our applicant with us? Very good. Did you make your way up? We'll hear from staff.
It's another long one, sorry. The applicant is requesting 2 variances related to a proposed storage yard outdoor use in a CH1 zoning district. The first request is to decrease the minimum required Class B buffer yard width from 20 feet to 0 feet around a storage yard in CH1 zoning district. The second request is to decrease the height of the solid wall or fence required along the lot lines of the storage yard in the CH1 zoning district from 6 feet to 0 feet. The property was rezoned from R2 general residential and A1 general agricultural to C3 general commercial in December 2017. The property was purchased by the current owner in May of 2018, and a permit was applied for in August of 2018 to change the occupancy of the building from residential to commercial. The permit was abandoned and officially marked as void in March of 2019 after the applicant stated they were no longer doing work per our records. After receiving an engineering complaint for work without a permit in March of 2020, the applicant again applied for a permit to change the use of the property from a single-family dwelling to an office for a landscaping business in May of 2020. After no further action to obtain a permit, the permit expired in October of 2020. In January of 2025, a zoning complaint was filed for operating a business out of a single-family residence. An inspection was performed and a notice of violation was issued to the property owner for unpermitted use. The applicant rezoned the property from CG1 to CH1 in April 2025 and then applied for a permit to change the use of the property a third time in June of 2025. The principal use standards for storage yard outdoor in the commercial district requires that a 20-foot wide Class B buffer yard and a 6-foot solid fence or wall along all lot lines of the storage yard. The property abuts a vacant lot to the south, a salon and single-family dwellings to the north, and Interstate I-75 to the west. The plans propose a 5-foot buffer yard with a 6-foot solid fence to the north along the shared property line with those single-family dwellings, but does not show either of these features along the other property lines. The applicant should discuss why the proposed plans do not incorporate the required principal use standards for a Class B buffer yard and a 6-foot solid fence or wall.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Brandon Boulding. The address is 6907 Central Avenue Pike, Knoxville.
Very good. And if you can reiterate your request and your hardship, please.
Okay, so my request is to eliminate the buffer zone on the north side of the property, as well as the south side and the, I guess, west side of the property that would face the interstate. Those areas are flood zones in the west side as well as the south side, and nothing will be developed. It's natural area anyway. So the use of a landscape buffer zone in that area, I think, is irrelevant and a waste of money and resources, as well as causing disturbance to those areas as well and having to maintain stability to that.
Okay. And that's the hardship relates to both the wall and the buffer.
The wall is on the north side, I guess, where the bins are located. Is that what you're referring to?
I'm just trying to understand, there on here it has to do with reducing or eliminating the buffer, and then also something to do with the height of the fence, and I just want to make sure I understand which which sides are all sides, those things are.
Yeah, I think that we're in compliance with the sections facing the office. The section that would be on the north side where the material bins are is where we're requesting the reduction of that. And then the south side. So does that clear that up or?
Okay. So a clarification from staff. Is the buffer yard required only in the area of change, or is it the entire property line?
So the principal use standard says it's required along all property lines that would abut. For this one, we've looked at it and we stated that it needs to be along the shared property lines to the north. Technically, it would be needed against the property line to the west. However, there is a riparian buffer zone and it abuts the interstate. And then to the south, where there's an undeveloped property. The plans do propose an 8-foot tall solid wall or fence to the north along that shared property line. And then there are landscaping, there is landscaping to be proposed there as well. But it's mostly about how there's not a fence to the south or to the west. And that technically there's not all of the 20-foot width to the south as well for the Class B buffer yard.
Thank you. Sorry, I think I have one more question.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when we see a building plan, if it's part of it is in conformance and out of conformance, it's based on the plan submitted. So the plan that we're looking at here would be what is approved or not approved as it relates to the buffer, or with just like there's some effort being made here in this plan. I wouldn't want to approve something that takes away the need for what's being shown. So that thing.
So you just want to make sure that if this proceeds and gets approved, it's approved as per this site plan, and they don't get
Just
these,
state
they don't get these variances and then provide a different.
I just want to make,
Landscape
that's
plan.
how we've looked at it with buildings, and so
Yeah.
we just need to be clear on that, if that's, okay.
I would say just if you go down that road, just say as per the submitted site plan.
So if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, sorry.
Sorry, I'm not, that's not even an opinion yet, I'm just trying to make sure we understand kind of the procedure part
Okay.
of that.
All right.
That we're all kind of on the same page starting.
Okay.
Sorry.
Question, I'm still trying to understand what the hardship is. So you're requesting that the Class B buffer yard be decreased from 20 feet to 0 feet, and that the height of the solid wire fence from 6 to 0 feet. My question is, why can't you do the 20 feet and 6 feet? I think you mentioned something about wetlands, but can you expound more?
Sure. So on the drawing that you see, on the top of the drawing, you see some material bins. That is a 7 or 8 foot tall wall, concrete wall there, that would create a buffer. But the reason to have additional landscaping on that side as well as the west side, it goes into a flood zone. It's not ever going to be developed. There's thick woodland and brush and a field that blocks all of I-75, so nothing is visible from I-75. The south side, which they've tried to sell for years but goes down into a flood zone, the need for additional landscaping there, it's just a waste of resources to me, money, and also disturbance to those areas that is irrelevant. We're obviously, this is what we do is landscaping, so if we can beautify and make our place look good and conform to what you all are wanting, we're going to and will, but the benefit of it is just irrelevant to me. And so we're asking that we do the front side where it blocks Central Avenue and screens all of that, so that it's not visible, even though it's a clean, maintained facility. But everything else are the areas that I'm asking that we get a variance for. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I would imagine, are there, I don't know that I have topography here, but I would imagine there's also other reasons that we wouldn't want to build a wall across what presumably is a floodway connecting across other properties. So I can, to me, I can certainly understand, if the requirement is that that buffer goes the full depth of the property, reducing it by some depth, I'm trying to just grapple with where that stops.
That's where I'm struggling, is where does this start and stop at?
There's like an easement here, a drainage stream, another buffer on that. Maybe some development in that buffer.
Is it feasible that we request that we install the buffer, everything that runs parallel to Central Avenue? Because that's essentially what's visible.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily just what's visible from Central Avenue Pike, but also you have current neighbors, and then you have future development and future neighbors as well that start to play into those. And I think we all know that if something's not done now, it's never going to be done in the future. So trying to consider those conditions of how it relates to the side neighbors as well. I think for me, I'm struggling with that south side in particular of nothing, even though it's undeveloped, and I understand that it's, given the state of development in our area, it's unlikely it will remain forever undeveloped.
When you look at that plan, and you can see I think it's 100 and 500 year floodplain, that's what is showing, I guess, is where the buffer would be going. And in my opinion, or my understanding, that's never able to be built on because it's in floodplain. Is that correct? No?
Now that's still developable area, pending discussion with engineering in the future.
You just have to be up high enough, right?
You just have to follow the floodplain ordinance. Josh, did I say that correctly?
Because part of me, I think there's a part of me that doesn't mind the relief of this if we look at, pick a line in the map, whether it's the drainage stream or the 30-foot buffer, and from that point, just finding a place where from that point back, that might be appropriate to relieve some of this based on some of these conditions.
Is that in our purview though?
Isn't that what's being asked?
It's
We're being asked for a 0, and I think we can say, we can
say from 0 to here.
Yeah. Right? So you could relieve it from a point back and then maintain it at another. That's why I was asking about the plan.
As long as it's a measurable distance. So it's not just like a feature on that, but like an actual 20 feet to 7 feet or 10 feet or whatever.
Yeah, and the only other thing I would be concerned about is, what did we publish notice for? And so we do have it in both from 20 feet to 0 feet, and then in the second one, 6 feet to 0. So as long as we're looking at the same lot lines and the site plan, obviously, you would want to say it's approved per this particular site plan, so.
And I think what I'm suggesting would arguably be a lesser, right? That it would be granting the variance on a portion of the parcel as opposed to all of it. It's
How do
just,
you get a distance?
yep, I don't know. It's a,
So one around there somewhere?
there's a scale on it. I'd be winging it.
Can we instead of come back with a distance, postpone it and say, come back with something?
I do think that it's unlikely to develop in that little basin back there.
From beyond the stream.
The stream's there, and you're always gonna it's gonna create more issues than that little salt there going to be worth. I think pragmatically, he's not wrong about that. It's gonna be hard.
And disruption of the drainage plane and natural area and everything else, that's why I was thinking it's.
It's never gonna be worth it to do anything with it. And the bins up here, I think that's pre-existing. How long have those bins been there? Those are like bins for storage of like landscaping materials and so forth.
Yes, sir, mulch, rock, things of that nature.
And they've been there they were there when you bought the property.
They've been there for about 6 years, I guess, 5 to 6 years.
But they weren't there when you bought the
No,
property.
sir.
How long have those bins been there, y'all?
2022 aerial doesn't.
Yeah, based on KGIS and historical aerials, 2020 doesn't show them, 2022 doesn't show them, but the current aerial, which is 2024, does. So I would be willing to say sometime between 22 and 24.
I think it was 22, so that, yeah, so it's been 3 years.
It's approximately 200 feet.
200 feet?
It's approximately 200 feet to the buffer on the south side. It's a little bit harder to calculate on the other side.
From where to where, just visually?
I was mapping from the corner to the red line.
That's 200.
It's roughly 200. It's different on the other side because the property jogs.
Do like 100 on the front, on the top, and 200 on the bottom. Is that what you?
That one's longer.
I kind of feel better if we had a second at those measurements on.
I think we need to come back with a plan that's got distinct measurements that say, all right, we're willing to do this, and can we get a variance for this? And that it's vetted through.
Do you understand what we're saying?
I think so, yeah.
Gives you want to maintain the buffer around that front edge of the property.
Mhm.
On the south side of it, and that is south, right? Just plain south or south side? Is it south?
Southwest.
South-southwest side? Approximately.
Yeah. I mean, I just, to me, I think behind that first buffer in that stream, leaving that in natural condition makes a lot of sense to me, but I would still like to see.
Yeah.
But having a defined measurement on I'm doing that not so super.
Right.
Right?
So the measurement is from the front corner back to the riparian area.
And effectively, you'd be asking, in my view, the variance would be from that point back.
The red line, or,
No,
Or from-
we don't know where the vegetation is further, doesn't it?
No, it's kind of a grassy
Is it, okay,
situation, but
okay.
if in order to approve something, we have to say, we have to be able to put a pin in it, and we're gonna be making up those measurements, and that may not be the best way to do that.
okay,
But your goal is to get back to which point, to give him a place to create that measurement from.
I mean, there's rules that you can't build within the buffer, right?
Not within the stream buffer.
Yeah, so to me, if it ended short of that buffer, you do what's required within that front portion, but then you stop at the point that you're not really supposed to be building in it anyway.
Okay.
but it needs a measurement.
Okay, so if I'm developing that site plan, or will you all mark on the site plan, what am I?
We can't, so I think what's being suggested is that we call for postponement to allow you to put a measurement on it, and then to come back in November so that we have it defined something to point to on it.
And I was just trying to get you an idea of like where to go from, so that you know, so generally you have at least some somewhat consensus. We can't vote on it, but then hopefully when you come back, it would be something that would be agreeable.
So if this is approved in the future and development, more storage happens, someone crosses the stream and says, we're gonna store more stuff on the other side of the stream, is that allowed then without a buffer if we approve that variance?
Arguably, yeah.
And I would also make sure that you've got hardships keeping in line with what's required as a hardship listed when you come back.
Required as hardship as in the flood zone, or what do you?
We have a specific list of things that we can, I think it's provided in the application even, that are the things that we're allowed to consider as a hardship.
Mhm.
But you can state those, and you pointed them out in your discussion, yeah.
Okay,
And if you look there under variance requirements, you'll see them there too.
okay,
It just gives you some keywords you can sort of look and say, do they apply or not?
okay. The reason all this is taking place is because I've been trying to submit or get a permit approved for almost a year. So I appreciate the fact that y'all are trying to work with me on this, but I'm really trying to get my building built for wintertime and for the purpose of moving this permit forward. Is there anything that we can do to try to get a yes or a no or a definitive answer on something tonight so that I can move forward on my current permit that I'm trying to get approved to move forward so that I don't have to string this out any longer?
As it's submitted, I'm willing to make a motion to deny. Is that helpful?
Second.
Is that helpful or not helpful?
So deny meaning that we have to wrap the whole area in a buffer zone.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'm also willing to make a motion to postpone to the November 2025 meeting.
So did we make a motion or did we not make a motion?
I did not, I'm willing to.
Okay.
I'm asking, those are the two choices I think that we're talking about.
Okay.
Do you have a preference of which one you'd like to?
I can't continue waiting. I mean,
Okay.
the city has drugged this out so long, I'm just gonna have to comply, I guess, and move forward on.
Okay. Then I'll officially will make that motion to deny BZA 250069 as it's submitted for lack of hardship.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, do you have some more discussion or you just want to vote? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed? No. Okay, so it's 4-1. You have the ability to appeal it to City Council. You can do that through plans review. You can also come back with a new application that's just a different request and pursue it in a different way.
Yeah.
All right, on to BZA 250070. All right, as you make your way forward, we'll have staff comments.
The applicant is requesting 2 variances related to a proposed place of worship sanctuary in an R1 zoning district. First request is to increase the number of principal buildings allowed on a property in an R1 zoning district from 2 to 3. The second request is to decrease the minimum required off-street parking spaces for a place of worship in an R1 zoning district from 75 spaces to 64. The property is currently developed as a place of worship with 2 existing buildings connected via a covered breezeway. The plan suggests that a 3rd building will be proposed in front of the existing buildings connected by a courtyard. In the R1 zoning district, only 1 principal building is allowed, and therefore the request to increase the number of principal buildings is needed. The rear of the property is developed with off-street parking for the place of worship. The Plans show that the parking area will not change to accommodate the larger main assembly area in the new structure. It would require an additional 11 spaces. Engineering will be able to discuss any of the required stormwater controls for the proposed project. They're not eligible for a zoning variance. The applicant should elaborate on why an addition cannot be built onto the existing structures and why no additional parking is being provided.
Thank you. May you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, Damon Falconeer, 4622 Chambliss Avenue.
Thank you, and can you restate your requests and hardships?
Yes. My variance request number 1 is to increase the number of principal buildings allowed on the property from 2 to 3. When I brought the original block face information to you before, I was told that I should have asked for, the city of Knoxville considers, even though they're connected by a roof, it considers them 2 separate buildings. So they asked me to go ahead and bring that variance request to you. And then the new building is a different construction type. It's much taller than that building, so it really doesn't member in very well. So we'd ask that it remain separate and not have to build a firewall and things like that between the 2 buildings.
Okay, thank you. And the parking?
The parking, we want to make sure we don't further increase the impervious area of the site. There are no stormwater solutions for this site. There's no ditches, there's no conveyance of any sort in this area for the additional stormwater to go. And so we ask that we don't increase the impervious area of the rear parking.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor or opposition on this item? I will open it up to board discussion. I guess I have just from a practical standpoint, is there adequate parking or is there a plan for people to park?
There's adequate parking. There's 2 reasons for this new building. One reason is this is a hub for the Emerald Youth Foundation. They only have 28 kids, room for 28 kids. And as we build this larger building, we'll be able to accommodate more children as they're serviced in this neighborhood.
The parking requirements based on sanctuary seats?
Yes.
This may be a silly question, but the connection between the buildings, they want that to say open.
Yes, for parking, be able to walk between it for the parking.
But no. I don't want to tell you how to design. I'm not trying to get into design.
Right.
So the request here from 2 to 3 is just because the 2 are existing non-conforming.
Yeah, the applicant was here in July of last year and was here for a average block face front setback, and I missed it at that time. It should have been on that request to go from 2 to 3. And so now that they're back with a different design or a couple changes, I just wanted to make sure it was reflected now.
I'll make a motion to approve BZA 250070 as they've submitted it on the basis that I think parking is a lesser, not a more, and I think I can get behind that to preserve green space. And then on the first, because those two buildings are pre-existing.
I'll second. I do have a question. So prior to CAT discontinuing, we fell within 30%, and did we meet parking requirements then? Yes. Thank you. The answer was yes. Got it here, and I got it here, and we're good.
Okay. Any other comments, discussion before we call for a vote? All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Sorry, I'm aye.
Very good. All right, so it sounds like we're 5-0.
Thank you for your time and your service to the city.
All right, next item here is BZA 250071. Our applicant's here. Looks like someone's getting up. All right, as they head up, we have staff comments.
Yes. The applicant is requesting one variance related to a proposed redevelopment of an industrial property in the IH zoning district. The request is to decrease the minimum required interior side setback in an IH zoning district from 15 feet to 0 feet. The proposed building will encroach into the railroad right-of-way, allowing the utilization of the railroad to transport materials in and out of the site. The applicant has provided a letter from the railroad company allowing the encroachment over the existing tracks. The applicant suggests that without the encroachment, they will not be able to utilize the railway for transportation services.
Thank you. If you'll state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Don Schwab, 2728 Menders Ave.
Thank you. And if you could reiterate your request and your hardship.
Okay, like they mentioned, we're building a new production facility there to complement our steel mill. It's a galvanizing process for our rebar. And to load out product by rail is pretty critical for us. And that's an interior railway to our steel mill. It goes through our steel mill. And we'd like to build one bay, the outfeed bay, over the railroad tracks to load it with an overhead crane. And the buildings you're seeing there, they're the old Cal Metals buildings, which have been torn down, and we're rebuilding buildings there. And they had a runway going over the railroad tracks already, previous to us buying this.
I've never seen a railroad letter. They return calls. That's good. All right.
The property on the other side of the railroad tracks is part of our steel mill too. I mean, we're surrounded by all of our own property.
That's why I was going to ask about who has control of the adjacent, the affected parcel.
North of it's part of the steel mill, south of it's our recycling yard. So they're both CMC properties.
I'll make a motion to approve BZA 250071 as submitted.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Based on what hardship?
Thank you.
They can't load without it. And there's no impact to any neighbors.
The shape of their property.
Shape of the property.
The shape of the lot, I guess is what we're saying.
Correct.
It's pretty, I mean, there's a lot of uniqueness going on that site and uniqueness to their business.
Yeah.
Barring a variance, is there any other option from a zoning standpoint to be able to accommodate this?
we have similar
Okay.
situations at our other facilities across the country. The railroad right of way, that's theirs. They allow us access to it.
Yeah, the question was a staff question to make sure that this was really the only option that we had.
But what he's saying is also part of why I'm making the variance. Because if there's anyone that have a problem, it would be the Gulf of Ohio, and they don't have a problem.
It would be the what, the who, sorry?
The
Oh, I see.
the
Sorry.
that they are crossing.
Right.
Yeah, it's actually like a negative, because it goes past the property line, so, yeah.
My doubts have been assuaged, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Variance has been granted. All right, next up is, and that's a first for me, a building being built across the property.
I've had to, never mind.
It's not good.
Once. It's a testing,
All right, BZA 250072, they're headed up, and staff comments.
The applicant is requesting one variance related to a proposed second driveway in an R1 zoning district. The request is to decrease the minimum required lot width for a second driveway in an R1 zoning district from 150 feet to 103.8 feet. The driveway was constructed without permit sometime between 2022 and 2024 based on KGIS aerials. The original driveway has existed since at least 1969 based on KGI's historical aerials. The applicant should discuss why the smaller original driveway cannot be removed and how their hardship meets the requirements for a hardship based on Article 16.3.e. Engineering can provide commentary on the safety and functionality of the original driveway.
Very good. If you'll state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, I'm Mary Carter and I live at 505 Woodlawn Pike.
Thank you. And if you can describe your request and hardship.
Sure, so we are requesting a variance to allow us to keep both of our driveways. And our hardship is mostly the traffic on Woodlawn is extremely dangerous. That's why we put the second driveway in. Also that the newer driveway is on the side of the house with the main door that we use. And the older driveway is how you access the back of the property and the front door. We also can't park at the street easily, again, because of the traffic.
One of the questions from the city was about why the other one can't be abandoned and removed.
Well, we use both. We think they're both functional for the property. One of the things that we talked about doing was a semicircular driveway because I know that would be allowed as our property is at least 75 feet wide. But our house is only 15 feet from the road. It was built in 1928, so it'd be a really awkward semicircular. Yeah.
Are you not able to use the new driveway? I can't tell from the image. Is it raised?
It's raised and so it drops off about 4 feet at the end of it, so you can't access like the back of the property if you needed to. And it's also pretty narrow, so we wouldn't be able to like pass each other. It's hard to turn around down there and come back out on that side. It was really just for me to be able to load the kids safely, like on that side of the house.
Joshua, from an engineering standpoint, can you give us some feedback on Woodlawn Pike and backing into Woodlawn Pike from a driveway?
So yes, the Woodlawn Pike is a collector. The zoning ordinance doesn't allow to back into it. The new driveway, since it has kind of that branch area, we consider that to have adequate room if they needed to turn around and pull out. The existing driveway, it was existing, and so that's why it's there. We wouldn't allow that layout for a new driveway because it would require them to back into Woodlawn Pike.
I think one thing here, there's obviously an issue that you're accessing the backyard. There's not an alley. Is there another acceptable treatment of that? I mean, I'm just trying to think of like how, for that to not be a driveway. How could you can't get to the backyard from here because there's a grade change issue that is 4 feet higher than the backyard. So what would you just leave it as grass and just drive it grass? I'm trying just to understand like how you actually get to the
You could
backyard.
leave it as grass and just drive over the grass if it wasn't a driveway. From the city's perspective, what would abandonment of the existing driveway look like?
It would look like demoing the asphalt, returning it to probably grass, typically grass.
What if, can I ask a question? What if that's difficult because of how close it is to our foundation? Because it's right up, the asphalt is right up on our brick foundation.
That's a fair question. If just as much as could be removed, we're not going to make you like dig into the house to just do that.
Okay.
It would be probably taken from the right of way back a certain distance to where it just couldn't be accessed from the road on a regular basis. You'd still be able, like I said, occasionally if you needed to get in the backyard, it would still be there. It just wouldn't be a daily driveway.
Okay. I was gonna say, it's mostly like taken over by grass right now.
Yeah.
How much would we have to like dig up? We didn't ask them to reconnect it when they repaved the road, they just did that.
There's 15 feet between the right of way and the house.
I would say at a bare minimum, it would be to the right-of-way line. At most, it would be back to kind of where the house starts.
Okay.
Comments, questions?
I actually applaud you making a bad situation better. And the new driveway did that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that you can't have two driveways and that's not allowed. And like I said, I applaud you did make a bad situation better. They're just, it just doesn't give us much room to be able to allow for the two driveways.
Okay. Can I ask another question?
Sure.
So this was all part of our permit application to begin an addition on our house. Would we be able to wait to do that until we're done building so that we can put like a dumpster there if we have to, or move cars around if like construction vehicles are on the other side?
I can answer that question.
That's what I was gonna say, is I think engineering and plans review would be the ones to answer that question.
As long as it's shown on the plans, there's nothing to say that it has to be removed at the very beginning.
Okay.
So it can be done after you're done using it.
Okay.
So Anthony Carter, 505 Woodlawn. So is that something that we can, like, I know that we have to go there and tell them, and present but how do they know that we have your approval? I guess.
Some of them are sitting right there.
Oh, okay, well, right on. I was just making sure, because we have read something that from here, it's up to us to carry it on.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to, we've been waiting on this, we have 4 children, we've been waiting on this edition for a long time.
Yeah, no, I think to add to what Joshua had said, generally, if you showed on your building plans that the existing driveway to be demoed at the completion of construction,
Okay.
I think that note right there would probably satisfy what needs to be done, and then let you go on with it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, so we need a motion and a vote of some sort.
I'll make a motion to deny, where are we at?
0072.
BZA 25072, based on lack of hardship.
Second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so the variance has been denied, but it sounds like you have a path forward and
That's what we
show
need.
your people.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, next up is BZA 250073, and our applicant is headed up. Staff comments.
The applicant is requesting to permit the extension of a non-conforming use in an RN3 zoning district. The property is an existing multifamily development that was developed between 1969 and 1985 based on KGI's historical aerials. It appears to have been in the same configuration since the original construction. Previous zoning for the property was R2, general residential, which allowed for multifamily structures and or developments. Recode in 2020 changed the zoning district from R2 to RN3, which no longer allows the multifamily dwelling use. The applicant plans propose converting existing laundry rooms into an additional dwelling unit in each of the 4 structures for a total of 52 dwelling units. The applicant has provided responses to items A through H in Article 17.1.8.1 to show how they will be compliant with the ordinance for an expansion of a non-conforming use. This is not a hardship variance, but rather an expansion of a non-conforming use. This is the weird one that comes up every once in a while.
Can you explain that last statement for me?
Yeah. So it doesn't follow the hardship as in it's not related to the site as far as topography or anything like that. There is a non-conforming use on the property that would no longer be allowed under today's ordinance, but it was allowed via a previous ordinance. And so part of 17.1.a, there are conditions that the property or applicant should provide, which is in this response letter here, that goes over all of the conditions of how they're meeting today's ordinance.
Jeff is pulling that up. It's, the expansion of a nonconformity, it has 8 factors. It's not hardship based at all. It's outlined in this letter here from, was it Guaranteed Services LLC? And if you go down to, I believe, the 2nd page of this report, you'll start seeing the, there you go. Each one of the code factors there listed with a comment.
Can you zoom in?
I like to read code, so I'd love to read the code to you. So it's not just our interpretation.
Bedtime stories by Peter.
Yes. This is 17.1, Part A, which is alteration or enlargement of buildings and or structures. A1 is a non-conforming use and or structure or building. The Board of Zoning Appeals may, in appropriate cases and after public notice and hearing, permit the extension of an existing building and the existing use thereof upon the lot occupied by such building, or permit the erection of an additional building. The addition or extensions shall be subject to the following requirements. And that's what this letter is articulating for you. Daniel, I don't know if you remember the expansion of a daycare in the residential district in West Hills area. That they followed the same pattern. They had a pre-existing non-conforming use in that zoning district, and they showed compliance with these requirements. And so that's the basis, as opposed to the typical variance hardship.
There was also a more recent one on Baum Drive, and it was a dental office that was moving from one suite to another suite within the main property. And they provided responses to that as it was one property.
So what was just read said an additional building. Does that buildings as well?
Yeah.
Is that implied?
Yeah. The intent, 17.1A has 2 parts, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 is buildings and uses.
Okay.
Part 2 is just the building structure itself with a compliant use. So
this is only coming to us because it's adding more units. Okay, more doors. Got it.
Why do it this way versus rezoning? Could they rezone?
this is the appropriate path.
Okay.
This is a non-conforming use, it's legal. It's not like, if they were constructing brand new buildings, yes, that would be appropriate to rezone. They've got what they've got, and they're just expanding what they've got.
This is the appropriate path, but could you do the same thing with rezoning? I'm just curious.
I'm sure you can do a lot of things, yes. Yes, that is also a path.
That is, I'm not asking you.
That
It is
is
also a path.
That is a path.
Given the explanation, I recommend we approve BZA 25073 as requested.
Wait, stop, we gotta back up, because Reggie hasn't even introduced himself. We got a whole lot of education and clarification without the applicant ever speaking.
Everything you guys said, I was getting, you know me. I was getting ready to run everything down.
Tell us who you are.
I'll take the roll. I'll take the
That's
roll.
what she's the chair.
That's really funny.
Reginald Bell, 134 Pale Moss Lane, and thank you for the approval.
All right, so we met our applicant, and we, I guess, we have.
Motion stays the same.
Okay. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, is it a variance still? The variance has been approved, it says variance, so. Okay, the request
Variance
has been
request was
approved.
for parking, to reduce the parking,
It's not in here.
but that's not part of it? Oh, okay.
Okay, so next on the agenda is other business, which is that we have our next BZA meeting on November 18th, 4 p.m. Yes.
Yeah, you are approved. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, here in the small assembly room, and the meeting is adjourned.